Okay, well, welcome everybody. This is Rod Moore here from the Watercolor Success blog with another one of our step-by-step, video instructions. And if you want to find out more about some of these videos, then please feel free to drop by our blog or just check out our watercolor paintings, then drop by www.watercolorsuccess.com. For those of you who haven't seen one of our videos before, my name is Rod Moore. I'm pretty much on a journey, I guess, from learning how to paint watercolor with all its frustrations when you first start out. So I'm on a journey from going from being basically a beginner to becoming a full-time professional watercolor artist. It's my passion, and at my blog I'm sort of documenting my journey, and these videos are just sort of a way for me really to keep a record of how I've progressed over time, but hopefully it'll help some people out there who are like me, early stages of learning how to paint watercolor paintings. And if you are more experienced, I'd welcome your feedback and thoughts and suggestions on how we can improve the paintings as well. Always happy to hear from everyone, so please feel free to drop by our blog and leave your comments there. So in this particular demonstration, this is a painting I've just done recently on a half sheet of Arches 300 grams rough paper, and it's a scene out of it was inspired by a book that I bought recently, by Trevor War, I think his name was, which is a book all about how to place figures and people and movement and life into your paintings. And so this is this particular painting is inspired by one of the demonstrations that he has done there, and I've obviously tried to add my own flavour and personality to it, and my own figures and characters to it. So what I want to do is just walk you through the process, and hopefully it'll be instructive for you, and for me, when I look back in years to come, it'll show me, my progression through being a beginner to mastering and becoming a full-time watercolor artist. So as with every painting, I always start out with a sketch, and roughly sketching in the big shapes, I guess. Not a lot of detail in the sketch, putting in a little cafe scene there, and sketching in where the main shadows are going to go. I think it's really important. So this big shadow here in the front, which is obviously cast from a building on the left hand side, I put that in there, and with the objective of trying to merge this figure here into the shadow. Very important to connect them to the shadows. A little bit of detail as in the windows and so on, just really getting them in position, I think. And I think one of the things I'm going to try and do in future is to even put less detail with the windows and things in there, because I think you can overdo it with a sketch. You really just want the big outline shapes and get them in place, I think. So that's my sketch, and then moving on, I put on the first wash. Now, I'm not that great at taking the photos yet, so there's a little bit of shadow through there, which is probably my head in the way when I was taking the photo. But this is my first wash, and what I tried to do with this one, different from my previous paintings, is to really vary up the colours. In the past, if I was doing this building in the back here, I might use yellow ochre, and I'd have this flat wash all the way through, and it becomes a bit boring. And I've been studying a lot of my favourite artists, people like Alvaro Castanet and John Yardley and others, and noticing that they vary up the colour, and going from warm to cool colours and so on within a wall of a building. And so that's what I've tried to do with this one, really mix it up and add in different colours and blend them in and so on, which is why you've got the alizarin crimson here moving up into the cobalt sort of cooler colours here. And then over on the right hand side, I've put in some cerulean blue and so on, mixing that into the yellow ochre, and and again into the pavement area here as well. There's some ultramarine blue in here, and that's obviously where the shadow's going to go, so I can afford to go a bit darker in that spot. When I was doing this, I think this was burnt sienna in the back here, and maybe some brown umber possibly as well, or raw umber, one of the two. I can never remember the difference between the two, so you can see I'm a real beginner, right? But anyway, when I was doing this, I started to get very concerned about how bright this back building was, which is really meant to be recessed, and that was a bit of a concern for me. One of the things I've done in this one, which I haven't done in the past, is I've left more white space for the windows. In the past I would have painted over those and then put them in a darker colour, but in this I've tried to capture a little bit of light in the windows, and you'll see that as we progress through. Still struggling with cutting around you know, I would have preserved these as white, these umbrellas, but because of a fairly wet wash, it's run in here. So, you know, we just go with it as we can, make the best of it, right? So that's the first sort of initial wash, and then just let that set, let it dry. I never use a hairdryer because I find it flattens out the washes too much. I don't know, it just gives it a really dull effect for some reason. I prefer to let it dry naturally, and I reckon that you know, it's still painting itself. You know, the colours are still merging and so on. If you get a hairdryer in there, you lose some of the magic of watercolour, is what I've found. You know, I might be wrong on that, but that's just been my experience. I just, you know, go away and take a break for an hour and just let it do its own thing. Okay, so then I came in and did some more work on it here, and as you can see, we've gone, you know, in here I've used neutral tint, I've used ultramarine, I've got some purple in there. I can't remember what colour I've got, but it's, you know, it's a purple colour. Starting to build in this shadow across this person here. In the back walls, you can see I've been building up the colours and the you know, what I was really doing, to be honest, is that because I was concerned about this back building being too bright, I've tried to go really dark there, and you can see where I've really applied thick pigment, you know, through there. More sort of burnt sienna, brown umber, and so on. Tried to put in some I guess a grayer mix in here, so it's an ultramarine and burnt sienna, which gives you a really nice grey in amongst all the cafe here, so greying up in that area there. And then I thought, well, I can't do the same on this building over here as I've done on the left hand side, so I've gone in with a cerulean there just to give it a you know, maybe a bit of a cooler sort of shade, and burnt sienna across there, put some more mauve and purple into the bottom of this corner here. And you know, it's a funny thing, watercolor, because at this stage I was thinking, you know, pretty much like the previous demonstration or video that I've done, I was thinking this is just not going to work. and then I keep have to